Kahiaka. My name is Tamara and you are at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. Behind me you can see Mauna Kahalawai, which is also known as the West Maui Mountains, and the towns that are part of Mauna Kahalawai include Waikapu, Wailuku, Waihe'e, and Waihu. And if you hear the word Wai 4 times, that's because Wai means water in Hawaiian, and those 4 valleys and the rivers that fed all of that area were known as Nawai'eha, or the 4 waters, which was the most productive taro growing, or kalo in Hawaiian, kalo growing area in all of Maui County. So I want to wish all of you a happy Arbor Day. In Hawaii, Arbor Day is actually held in November, and that's been a tradition since long before Hawaii was a state. Right behind me you can see our state tree, which is Kukui, Aleuretes mollicana, and it is a Polynesian introduced tree that is a beautiful tree that has dozens and dozens of cultural uses. Today though, instead of talking about trees, I'm going to show you a little of the special native Hawaiian plants that we actually have to keep in planters, because I know that you are learning today about how to tell if your potted plant is healthy and what to look for. So we're just going to visit a few of the really special plants that we keep in planters and talk about why we do that. This tree is at our front entrance and it is called Ulu. Ulu is also English breadfruit. Breadfruit trees can produce for hundreds of years, and they produce thousands of pounds of fruit every year. The fruit is like a potato crossed with artichoke. It's delicious, and then when it ripens up it can become a really sweet custardy kind of a food. So 2 foods on 1 tree, extremely productive, really easy to grow, and we have a breadfruit festival here every year in September. And if you look, here are some planters. These are kalo in planters. Kalo, or taro, Colocasia esculenta, was the single most important plant to Polynesians, with at least 300 unique Hawaiian varieties. And we grow them sometimes in planters, and we also grow them in the ground. We grow them in planters to keep our varieties separate. The one that you're seeing right now, the variety is called Elapaio, and you see those beautiful speckles on the leaves are named after a native endemic forest bird called Elapaio that has brown and white speckles on its breast. The Hawaiian method of cultivation of kalo was lo'i, which were constructed ponds with carefully managed flowing waters. Now these like full sun, wet, they mature in about 9 to 11 months, and they have to be harvested and replanted. So all parts are edible when cooked, so you can harvest and eat them, but you do have to replant them. This is the Owahia Pele variety, and it means the smoke of Pele. And this variety here is another unique Hawaiian variety. This is called Apuwai, and it also means cup of water, cup that holds water. And you can see the water that lands in the leaf was considered sacred and was used for ceremony because it hadn't touched the ground. This is Bocopa maniera. It's an indigenous plant. We keep it in planters because actually it's really weedy and it'll escape into the lawns even though it's native. So you do have to keep an eye on how plants interact with your landscape. It's native to our estuaries, and it's an important habitat for some of our native water birds. Loves full sun. It also likes a wet environment, and it is very easy to grow. So this is Ekaha or Okaha. It's bird's nest fern, or Asplenium nidus. We love this. It's slow growing. It can grow to about 4 feet, and it is an epiphyte, and in outrigger canoe building ceremonies. And so we found that if we use like a fabric pot like this that breathes well, it's just like an orchid. It needs lots and lots of air around the roots. This also really loves shade, and so you have to keep it in deep, deep shade. And you can see over here what we have. We have a plant that we have an ekaha that we put in a little bit too sunny of a spot, and it has sunburn on it. So if you look at that brown on the leaf, that's an indication of sunburn. This is another fern. It's actually a really primitive fern. It used to be called a fern ally. So it was before ferns and flowering plants even came around. It's been the same form for millions of years. It's called moa, and it's Silotuum nudum. It is an indigenous species. It's also slow growing. This was actually, as Bob Rouse says, a happy little mistake. It just came up in the pot. And the plant died and then it took over, and it's very slow growing and beautiful. It's very long lasting in lei and in other arrangements. And these little yellow spores that you see, those were used medicinally. They were used like talcum powder, so you would harvest them and they had a beautiful feel to them. I've heard from some people that the genome for this plant is one of the largest genomes in the world of any living thing. This plant is called a Loula or a Loulu, and the genus, this is actually an endangered endemic species. So the other species I showed you were native to Hawaii and other places. This is only found in Hawaii, and it's also additionally endangered, so it's very, very threatened. It's found on sunny coastal areas and cliffs, and you can see that there are flower buds here that are just about to open. They have these long floral tubes with the nectaries are going to be way down here. So we think these were pollinated by a now extinct moth. And moths and butterflies have these long tongues that unroll. Now, can you imagine how long the tongue would have had to be to get to the nectar right here? Otto Degner, who was an early botanist, said that the flowers of the Loula smelled like violets, which I think is very Victorian of him. And if you want to grow this plant, you need a very well-drained, dry pot because of the sunny coastal area that it was found. Behind the plant, you can see one of our native hibiscus. That is Hibiscus arnaudianus, and is native only to Oahu, also an endemic species, a species hibiscus. Thank you for coming on the mini tour of the botanical gardens today and looking at some of the plants we have in pots. You can find us on the web at mnbg.org or at Maui Nui BG.